2019-81. This is Recycling Act certification.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Romando?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
aye,
Next, I'm going to ask for a motion, please, for Resolution 2019-82. This is authorizing the purchase of park and playground equipment for Jake's Place.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Romando?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
aye,
Finally, a Resolution 2019-83, authorizing executive session to discuss the following management benefit contract issue.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Romando?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
aye,
Yeah. We're also going to walk on, if it's okay with council, Resolution 84. This is authorizing the township to appoint Ken Paris to the Burlington County Coastal Communities Coalition. Ken, can you just give us a brief
Sure.
synopsis?
This is basically, we had an initial meeting with it was a roundtable with the mayors, basically to discuss the concept of getting together as a team to address the flooding issues that everybody's facing, which is a common issue across all the riverfront communities. We had 10 towns represented, where I think St. Vincent is also going to be a part of it. They couldn't attend. So we are looking to go forward with this, to continue to have meetings, and everybody's going to be getting buy-ins. All the mayors are going to be getting buy-ins from their town, to have them representing to them, and to go forward to address the issue with higher authorities and also agencies like FEMA, or the Army Corps, getting them all involved, and hopefully we can get something to come out of it. May take a while, but we're hoping to get something addressed as a coalition rather than individual towns. It seems like we'll get a lot more done if we have everybody involved rather than just one town. That's what this is about.
Yeah, we're pretty much just authorizing, well, appointing Ken to that. And you said you were going to be the chair of it.
They had asked me to be the chair, yes.
I think it's a no-brainer, so.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Mr. Lyon?
Aye.
Mr. Romando?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Mr. Cattrick?
aye,
All right, congratulations, Ken. Keep us
Thanks.
updated.
Hopefully, yes. And hopefully things will good that come out of it. May take a while, but we're going to do our best. So.
Next, we have our work session items here, so we're going to go ahead. First, we have the click it your ticket. Jeff, is there anything you want to add? I think it's pretty
Yeah, self-explanatory. This is another one of those grants that'll pay $55 an hour for the police, and we have to provide the difference between the $55 an hour and whatever our officers cost if we want to participate in the grant. And you see the maximum exposure is $2,067.
pretty standard. Anyone have any objections? Or?
No.
I think we do it every year, so. You need a motion, or we're just nodding?
Putting it on the
Public?
No, I think this is just like for him to apply for it and then, or the police to apply for it, and then when it comes in, we'll have to do a resolution.
Okay.
But if you want to do a motion, just authorizing.
Yeah, let's-
because we have to do an electronic submission, so yeah.
Can we just have a motion endorsing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Those opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, next is Jeff's update on the EMS meeting. There was a bunch of material. Jeff, do you mind?
Sure. I met with the consultant that's been put in charge of the emergency squad in order for them to come back into service. I met with him on March 27th. He provided general ledger, treasurer's account, the audits for the last 2 years, and log books of all the calls for Riverside and Delran. In addition to myself, the chief of police for Riverside is representing Riverside, and we asked a number of questions of Mr. McSweeney concerning the operations. He was very forthright and transparent in terms of anything that we asked for. They are going to put on another crew on April 15th, which should help. They only had enough for one crew up till now, so they're going to put a second crew on from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., which should help with those issues. Getting the volunteers back has been a slow process. They were shut down for so long that a lot of people found other things to do, other places to be volunteers. So it's a little bit of a slow going, but it sounds like he's provided all the information that we've asked for. If anybody on council wants any additional information, I'm going to be meeting with him on a monthly basis to get these updates, and I'll update you. But if anybody looking through the materials has any questions along the way, just call me and I'll add them to my agenda when I meet with them.
Any questions from council?
No.
Jeff, just, I know there was a couple concerns about response time. I know there was an incident at the school that was significant response time. Do you have any?
I didn't hear about the one on the school. I had received one complaint.
So this is a different one, other than the school, the high school?
Apparently there was someone at the school, like a girl was
Yeah.
injured, and
She had a,
your
she
children are
had
at
an
school.
issue,
so
my
you-
daughters were in the hallway.
Yeah.
And it seemed that they took a lot longer than they probably should have to
I
respond.
think it's only like 10+ minutes or something. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that was because of the one crew or.
Maybe, I mean, right now, the way it works, and I don't want to go too deeply into it, but if the one crew is out, they call another community, and they have up to 8 minutes to respond that they're coming or not. But they have to wait those 8 minutes, and then they go to another town and go 8 minutes. So sometimes that second town doesn't follow up, and that's one of the issues that's come up, is that Delran was covering for a lot of communities. I mean, I got a complaint from another community that we have no relationship with, owes us no funds, saying, you know, you guys were a little slow responding to my town who has their own emergency squad. So there is an issue there, but again, April 15th, the second crew will be on and should help address those issues.
I mean, unfortunately, you know, I think unfortunately what you're seeing is just to get back into, you know, motion. You know, unfortunately, you know, there's some growing pains to get it back to where it needs to be, because they're a smaller crew. They're going to be adding on to where they're going to be growing and getting it back, but it's going to take a little time. So.
Yeah, but when if there's an emergency, you get concerned.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, but it's not like it's not taken seriously. It's
No,
unfortunate.
absolutely.
Jeff will take it back to his next meeting.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? Anything with the EMS? Okay, next we're going to go into the donated leave program. We talked about this a couple of meetings back. I think everyone was on board. Jeff just has a couple areas he's concerned about from a management perspective.
Yeah, I did contact, one of the reasons it took a little time to get back to you, how long we were doing budget, but number two is that I was waiting for a response from civil services to make sure, because they have to approve our plan. But the numbers that are all on here in that original ordinance were maximums. So we can provide less than what's in there. And the things that I just at least want to talk to you about, so that, because it is a policy decision, is that the maximum right now is an employee can be given 260 days, which is, you know, more than a year of actual payroll. And each individual can provide 30 days to that person. And I was wondering if we want to look at maybe a number that's, you know, closer to 100 days, and maybe have people give a maximum of 15 days. Because one of the things I'd be a little bit concerned with is people giving days and then finding out that they've come up short if they have any kind of an injury and or substantial medical issue. And it's just something, I mean, really ends up being a budgetary issue, because if somebody stays on there, you really don't have the ability to replace them in most instances because of the staffing levels and the budget. Once the budget's done, the budget's done. So, and we'll be, in these instances, paying them. So the question is, do you really want to go to the maximum 260 days, or would you like to make it, I mean, we could put something in there where we would revisit it if it was 100 days or something along those lines get utilized.
One of the things you can do is you create a time frame and then a provision upon review and consent of the administration of a one-time extension of that initial time frame. That's one thing you could lay out there. Because I'm assuming their FMLA is running concurrent with their being out.
Yes. So like 100 days, for example, and then if they max out, they can appeal to Jeff. and
Yeah,
make a
because
decision.
260 days is a work year.
Yeah.
That's how many work days there are in a year. So it's basically, if you go to the max, you're giving them a year to be out. So something, if you want to
Tyler,
go.
can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Sorry, I'm losing audio, so I'm going to step out for a few minutes and call back in. I can't hear it, and I don't want to be able to vote on things that I'm not hearing complete discussion. But I will call
Yep,
back
fine.
if I can find a better place. I've lost every other word.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'll call back in a few.
Okay, thank you.
So, I mean, if we want to talk about a time frame with a possible extension, you know.
I think that makes sense.
I think it's a good idea.
Jeff, it gives you a lot of oversight over that, and you can do any number of things with that. You can say, after 100 days runs, they can apply to you every 30 or 60 days if they need more time at your discretion to approve it. You know what the max is, and you decide whether the situation's appropriate. That gives you a lot of control of the situation. Question for you on the 30-day. Each person right now under the proposition has the max of donating 30 days, but I thought I also read in there that they have to have at least a requisite number of days available. Is that a concern for you?
It's
or-
not a big amount, yeah, it is a little bit of a
Okay.
concern, because it's 15 days of sick. It says so many days of vacation and/or 15 days of sick. That's not a lot of time, and we've had a number of people who've had significant medical issues that I don't want to put somebody, else in that position because they're
Right.
trying to give a little too much, where they're going to be coming back in and asking for the same thing.
Right.
And actually, if you go through this, there's 13 holidays, and while they're utilizing their time, they're actually accumulating additional sick time. So it's actually even more than a year. That was one of the reasons that concerned me from a financial standpoint. If we have the ability to reevaluate, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think
We
it makes
certainly
sense.
submit it to civil service and see if they accept it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't, given that it's below the maximums that they provide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to, and this is just my opinion, where they could come back and ask multiple extensions. I think it should be, once you've exhausted what we say is the max, you can come one time for an extension, whatever we come up with,
Right.
then it's granted or denied, but at the end of that period, that's it on the donated.
And I would suggest, because Jeff or the governing body is going to have this oversight, I would suggest that one time, or however many time extension, be based on the availability of staffing within the township. So
The criteria
that's a factor that Jeff should evaluate in terms of deciding to not grant or grant, so that it's not later challenged as arbitrary or capricious.
So that
It's like
should be-
you granted
that
this
should be in
person the
there then.
extension, why didn't you grant it to me? So there is an objective factor.
So you're saying now to have some sort of defined criteria that.
Correct.
Yeah, that'd be
That's a
great.
good idea.
Yeah, I think that's, Jeff, do you want yourself to be the appeal person, or do you want to take the heat off yourself?
It actually gives a lot of authority to the business administrator.
Okay.
I'm somewhat surprised,
Already.
to be quite frank with you.
No, I think
You
it
can
should
pull
be
the plug
Jeff.
on the
Okay,
whole
good,
program based on the way the
Because
ordinance.
he's the
reads
one
right
that
now.
they'll be really coming to.
That's
I
fine.
mean, I think it depends on what you're comfortable with. If you want me to come back to you, I'm fine doing that, or if it comes to me, it's either way that you're comfortable with.
I mean, I don't see why you would need to. You'll have your finger on the pulse of what's happening with the individual. And if we've already sort of discussed theoretically that we're good with these type of donated policies, then,
Okay, we'll structure something that's along the lines of what you outlined here and get it together for you. Okay.
Jeff and I will work on it.
That's great.
Next, we have the CDBG grant application. This is just the approval, right? Ask them to apply.
And, I called them because it seemed like they're a little early. It's 2021 through 2023, but they indicated that they need to get their application done before September so that it's in the budget for 2020, I guess, for 2021. So I have to be able to give them a phone call saying that we're going to participate by April 15th. So that's number one, and then we need to adopt a resolution by May 10th to participate. I don't know why you wouldn't participate. You get grants from them to utilize. The grants are somewhat limited, as you know. We've been utilizing grants for 30 years that I've been doing before that. So
There's no reason not to apply for free money.
We always do.
I think it's, unless there's any objection.
None.
I don't think it's should be much. That's it for Oh, yeah. All right, next we have sewer bills. The appeals come to us. I think, if I'm correct, Jeff, number one is the only one you said you recommended we not adjust the bill, correct?
that is correct.
So just in the essence of time, can we just say 2 through 6, we're good with Jeff's recommendation?
Yeah.
And we'll just look at number 1?
Correct. Just so you know, the tax collector is actually doing these, and then I review them. So she's put these together. She's done
Oh, she
a
really
real
did.
nice job.
Yeah, I like this format.
Yes.
It's very effective. So yeah, 2 through 6, I think,
Yes.
we'll defer to Jeff's recommendation there. There's sufficient evidence to warrant changing the rates. So Jeff, number 1. You want to give us some background on the first one?
We're going to do them all.
No, just number 1. You said, number 1, you were attaching usage. Can you just give us some clarification why you would recommend, just on item number 1, right? This is the only one you wouldn't recommend.
Yeah, she just said that the usage was consistent with the bill amount, so she doesn't recommend it. I need to go back with her on this one more time. If I need to, I'll bring it back up for the time being. She's not recommending.
Because it said it was attached, and I don't think we got it attached. But
Councilman Burrow, can you just repeat for the rest of the council one more time that everybody's okay with the recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely.
2 through 6, as
Yeah.
outlined by Jeff's report?
yeah, 2 through 6, all that Jeff and the administration is requesting, we grant the reduction. I don't think there's any reason to go line by line through this. So if council has any objection, wants to review any of those specifically, we can do that. Otherwise, I think we should just go with the recommendation. Is that okay?
Yes.
And number 1, item number 1, you'll come back to
I'll
us?
come back to you if
Okay.
there's an issue. Otherwise, we don't recommend it. Make any adjustment.
So
I'll bring it back.
we'll come back to that one. All right? Now, we're going to do reports, right? Staff reports first, right? You give me a look.
No.
Jamie?
I have never.
Okay, thank you. Jeff?
Just one item, Public Works Department is going to have a shredder for putting paper on Saturday, May 4th, from 9 to 12. He was trying to get it here for Clean Communities Day, couldn't get it scheduled for the same day. So he's going to have it through some advertisement, get it on the website, get it in the paper, and it gets paid for out of the Clean Communities grant. So it's going to have a grant money. That's all I
That's
have.
great. Al?
I don't have a report, but I do have a quick question, and if
Sure.
council needs to revisit with council president, discuss further, that's fine. I believe at one point we did mention an ordinance to amend the reorg date, to push it forward to the first week of January. Is that something that's been explicitly authorized by council to work on, or should we hold off on that for now?
Well, the old ordinance left in place is from the May election, so I think we would just ask you to clean it up, that whole section, and just make it so it works with our November election. I think we reordered January, right? First.
Yeah, first week.
It says July, and they go, okay.
So we are moving forward with that then?
Good.
Yeah, the lead count, right? And the other, I don't know if you talked about it, but it was, I know Stu talked about updating the zoning appeal process. He said that's not even,
Yes, that was gonna be my next
Okay.
question. That as well, move forward with that as well?
yeah, I believe council leave no objections to that, right?
Objection.
We talked about that before.
Yes, we did. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right, we now have reports from council. Start off with.
No
Tom.
report.
Thank you. Virginia?
Yeah, I went to see the middle school perform Willy Wonka this weekend, and I just wanted to say what a great job by all the students and everyone involved with the production. It was amazing. They did a great job.
It's always a good production.
It sure is.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike,
No report.
no report? Myself, the only thing I want to reiterate, we said at the last meeting, was if you do have a trash problem, please, Facebook is great, but please call the clerk or the Public Works Department right away so we can get the trash company out, fix it right away. I mean, some of us are on Facebook, so we eventually see it and forward it to the administration, but by that time, it's often too late. So just please, we ask, you can put it on Facebook as well, but please call the office. That's all I have. Also the RAC Easter egg hunt, the 17th annual, is this Saturday at 12 o'clock noon at Community Park. Colin put together a nice video for the event, so we thank him for his donated services. 12 o'clock sharp, it pretty much is over at 12:05 after all the kids leave, but we do have Lightbridge Academy actually donated a face painter this year, so hopefully folks stay around a little bit longer. All right, and Mayor's report?
And I just have one bit of great news. We just received notification that we got another grant, Safe Walks to Transit. We're receiving $250,000. We're one of 5 towns to receive the grant, and we're the second highest. So we did very, very well, and I guess you could thank the governor and his administration, Senator Singleton, and everybody else. So,
Awesome.
good news.
What's that used?
We're looking at possibly getting some safety features on Route 130.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
that'd be great. I know that's not cheap either.
Oh, all right, we're looking into the feasibility.
Okay, that's great.
I'm glad you-
All right, we're going to ask for a motion to open the floor to the public, please.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the floor is open to the public. If you have a comment, please raise your hand.
Yes, I'd like to comment. We had the
Just
experience.
excuse me real quick.
Oh,
Your name and address for the record, please.
Angelo Cinti,
Thank you.
27 Ashley Drive, here in Delran.
Thank you.
We attended the meeting in which it was passed as far as the 7-Eleven is concerned. What we're concerned with is, one is that when they asked about when were you notified, well, the law says 200 feet. Well, in that location, the only thing that you have 2 homes that are on Bridgeboro. 200 feet doesn't come up to Ashley, I mean to our area, so we had no information they were coming. I think it's, it's great to say this is what the law requires, but we're also a small community, and I think it would be beneficial to everyone that perhaps you can exceed that 200 feet so that people can really come out to participate in what's happening in their local community. I'm telling you that, as we said to the board, I mean, yesterday and today is a perfect example. From 2 to 2:30, you could not drive from the red light coming from Fairview at the center to Otts. So that's probably about 90 cars that are on there, and I would say that it probably took them at least 7 minutes to get through. And this is 2 days in a row. And on the opposite side, because when people want to make a turn going up to Conroe, I mean, the traffic backs out to the red light, and that's only the beginning that's taking place. I think that it was a bad decision. I think that it's not in the best interest for our community. It certainly is not in the best interest for Delran. And so you have a lot of unhappy people. Because one is that when they say, well, you were notified. So what do you mean notified? We weren't notified. Didn't receive anything. Well, it's in the paper. Well, or it's in the computer. I hate to tell you, everybody in our division has a computer, and if you were to ask them about how many times they've accessed that, if it's only the ones that are involved would be those who are playing the stock market. Otherwise, it's maybe one every 3 days. So I mean, forget it. So I think you gotta find a way, you have to be a little bit more generous about notifying people when something's taking place in their particular community. The community say 500 feet, 200 feet, 100 yards, it stinks. Like I said, it only involved 2 homes. Everything on Hartford was out of the communication link. And I think we all think that was a bad decision. It's not going to be helpful to our area. And so you're going to have some angry people. You do have some angry people on that, simply because we weren't notified in time. Because if we had been notified in February that this was taking place, I can assure you that the people would have been there stating their case. That thing never would have gotten off the ground. But we weren't. So I think you got to find a way that when you're doing something like this, you got to take into consideration exactly who's affected by all this. And we're affected by it. And so that and the town is, because there's no way on earth that the only way the regulations are going to be maintained is unless they're enforced. Okay? And I just don't see that happening. So that's the other point I'd like to make when you're on your, if I may, you may want to consider you're talking about time for employees, that you may want to consider looking at the length of time that the person's employed, to take into consideration about what will be available. So if you use 100, for example, anybody who's been employed and is working for 10 years, for example, maybe he or she would be 110, 120. I think that the other day the study came out that people today are looking for the benefits that are getting from their employer. That income has never, it's really strange. Income has never been an issue. And any of the studies that we've done, going back to the 80s, they are always third or fourth in line. That the thing is how people are treated and what are they given, and also the kind of responsibility they have. So I would just say that this would be something that you can show people that you're concerned, that longer people are working, you want to keep them, so you want to give them a little bit more leadway.
The issue we're talking about with the time frame is beyond what they would already
Yeah, I know.
get. It's
Yeah.
a donated leave
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that.
Yeah, and Jeff had the concerns
Yeah.
about people exhausting their bank and then not having enough for themselves.
But you're not going to have that many people who are going to be in the higher end that'll take care of that. But yes, he's got a point. But I think that you also want to show that if you're a long-term employee, that you'll be taken care of.
Just one quick thing, in terms of your complaint about 7-Eleven, I've heard multiple folks echo the same sentiments you have. I just want to make clear that council, the planning board and zoning board are appointed, and we have no control over them, so I understand and appreciate you bringing your concerns to us. Ultimately, the planning board makes the final decision, but Alan, if I could pick your brain real quick.
Sure.
I think the 200 feet idea is I actually really think that's a decent idea. Is that statutory by
That's
the
a
state?
statutory requirement,
Yeah, that's a
and
requirement.
I'll take it, I don't presume to speak for the planning board solicitor. However, that statutory requirement is imposed on the applicant. The applicant publishes notification and serves the property owners within the 200 feet radius, and he simply relies on the list provided by the township. Hence, the township can't require the applicant to do more than what is statutorily required.
I've been on, prior to coming to Delran, I was on a board of adjustment in my community, so I understand what you're saying. All I'm simply saying is that as a community, you have a responsibility to ensure that, forget about what the law requires, because the law is.
I'm sorry, sir, but I can't forget.
Yeah,
what
well, I
the
know,
law
listen,
requires.
I have 2 sons who are attorneys, so I go through this all the time. What I'm saying is that the council has a responsibility to the people of Delran. And the statutory things, that should be where you want to start from. There's nothing in the law that says you can't provide better service than what it calls for. And all I'm saying is that if we had been notified in February that was going to be taking place, that thing never would have gotten off the ground.
Angela, I disagree with that. I
I
mean,
I don't want to
I
argue
know,
with it.
I know
okay?
where you're coming
Okay.
from on that,
Yeah.
as a resident, and I'm gonna tell you, as far as me living in Summer Hill, and Tom as well, we certainly agree with what you have to say about the traffic. The traffic is awful. I would love to have gone against it. I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't there at the final meeting, I'm sure you know. But I will tell you, in the first meeting, there were a lot of people that were out. There were a lot of people that got up against it, okay? I'm not saying Ashley Crossing people came out. I
We
don't
were
argue
not
with
there, I can
Correct.
tell you that.
Okay, but I will tell you that there were specific things that had to be addressed. But other than that, the way it's zoned and exactly the way everything met all the requirements, except there were certain things that we were looking for, and I kind of can't go, and they did satisfy it with the traffic studies, the county approvals. I'm just gonna tell you, so it was advised that technically, if we were to go against it, the town could possibly be sued. I will
Yes.
just tell you that.
Yeah.
So, that's
Ken,
where,
I'm well-
so
like
just,
I
I know
said,
that,
I've-
and I'm
I've
gonna be
been
right
through
up
that.
front with you, yes.
All I'm saying to you is that the board people do have a right,
I agree.
that they should vote their conscience.
Eh,
Let me tell you
I
something.
disagree with
Yes,
you.
they can, because they don't have to vote. They can deny, they can simply abstain. They don't have to make a vote.
They could also make a play to make it look like
No,
they're
they did.
supporting the
They
people
did, they did,
to-
they
for
did. We went through
future
that.
expectations.
Ken, we went through that, yes. The play was made, yes. We're not stupid.
Okay.
Okay?
So, but yes, I agree with you, and you know me, I'm very upfront, I'll tell you like it is,
Yeah.
I always have. So I'm just being upfront with you.
Having
so.
been on the
I
other
know.
side, been through it, you know what you can do.
Yes.
And now I'm telling you that there are ways in which the board did not do their job. I'm sorry, they
Okay.
just didn't do their
Okay.
job, okay?
Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll talk.
It's too late now.
We'll talk about the planning board, maybe there's something we can do about kindly asking the applicants to notify further than 200 feet.
If you
at
can
least.
do that, I think that would benefit, I think, again, you show the community that you're really interested, what's happening in the community, and what's happening in their location. I
We'll
mean,
talk to the
And by the way,
planning
it's not
board
just
solicitor.
7-Eleven there, it's all that whole redevelopment, and I get you, I totally get you.
We'll send a note to the planning board solicitor and
Sure,
pass that
that'd
on.
be,
We'll talk.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
no, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion to close the floor.
So moved.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And now we're going to need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
So then I'll,